Yes. Welcome to Clock It with AD Bryant. As y'all know, this is a great time. We know we do it twice a month. But you know what? I've been hearing a lot of people want me to do a little bit more, so I may do it once a week. But today is going to be exciting, man. Let me just tell you, it's exciting. But as you know, I got to tell you to follow us on all social media handles, on YouTube at AD Bryant 34, Instagram PABRY 34, or it's just a game LLC. Follow me on Twitter, Paul Bryant 34, or it's just a game 17. Listen, and on Twitch at PACU 34. You know we have to pay the bills. So our sponsors, man, you know what? I really thank the sponsors. They constantly do a great job in helping us out. First one is Humble Bully. I ain't a bully, but don't push me. Humble Bully. I ain't a bully, but don't push me. The Fellowship of Faith Church. Fellowship of Faith. If you're trying to find a church, go to Fellowship of Faith Church, where they Make Him Known podcast. They got a whole new podcast called Make Him Known. Follow it. Make Him Known podcast. Pastor Gardner. Unseen Faith by Tyler Renee. Her motto is walk by faith and not by sight. If you're looking for something that will inspire you, look at Unseen Faith by Tyler Renee. Timothy Alexander, inspired by TA. He says, we don't need it to be easy. We just need it to be possible. Timothy Alexander. Then Let's Eat. Let's Eat. They're striving towards intentional togetherness, intentional communication, and intentional love. Let's Eat. Follow them. All right. This podcast, I got to say this podcast is an iJag production. The opinions of this podcast are the sole opinions of It's Just a Game Sports Consulting, LLC. All right. Now, today's guest, y'all know who today's guest is, but I want to make sure I'm going to look in the camera and tell you, in an age where counseling someone takes about 280 characters, and as we know, our outrage is our currency. But where does honest communication fit in? That's what we're here to find out. Unfiltered, unscripted, unapologetic. Please join me in welcoming Scottay from Off Script.
What's up, AD Bryant? I'm glad to be on. I appreciate the invite, man, and being in the game. I appreciate that.
Hey, you already know you are in the game, man. And I appreciate you coming on today, man. And we're just gonna get right in it. But before we start, let me tell you how this goes. I know it's a 15-minute podcast. I run the clock for 15 minutes. When that clock runs out, game is over. However, if we need to go in overtime, we will. Scotty, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It's about to be jump ball, baby. There we go. Clock's running. All right, Scotty. You've been in this space for some time. So tell us, how did you get into podcasting? Why podcasting?
It's funny. A military buddy of mine actually came up to me. He was like, man, we should talk about sports. We always talk about sports with each other and stuff like that. So I was like, I was married to my first wife at the time, and I was like, I just got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know. So then when COVID happened, he was like, man, we can do it virtual. Everything's virtual now and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, cool. So I came up with the name. I came up with the logo, and that's how Off Script was born. And it started as a 2-person thing, actually. Like, me and a friend of mine. It wasn't going that well. We was doing NFL and stuff like that. It kind of fell off. And then a good friend of mine, Cut, we was in a Black YouTubers group together, and he was like, man, I think you're really good, but you need to change your focus, and you need to go to HBCU sports. And as they say, the rest is history. I did a show about Deion Sanders. It got 20,000 views, and I ain't never looked back. I ain't never looked back.
You know, Scotty. So when you start going into HBCU by Deion Sanders, and I did see something you were talking about cooking, and I think that may have been one of your first, but I'll explain that later. But tell us why the focus on HBCUs?
At first, it was just because it was giving me traction, right? Like I'm like, people listening to me, and at the time I knew nothing. When I tell you I didn't know nothing about HBCU sports, all I knew was Morgan, Howard, Spelman, and Morehouse. That's it, and of course Bowie and stuff like that. But all the stuff in Maryland, I didn't know anything about the SWAC. I didn't know anything barely about the MEAC, right? So, I was just learning as I was going and kind of getting. I'm like, oh wow, this is like felt like an underground rap scene, like I ain't never heard about. I'm like, oh man, Swisher House and Slim Thug and Paul Wall. Okay, I like this. So I just started rolling with it, and it became fun and interesting at the same time.
Yeah, I tell you, it's funny because people don't know. A lot of people I hear they don't know Scottay, like they don't know Scotty, right? And people they asked me, they was like, well, it seemed like y'all cool. I said, but Scotty, it's not like Scotty don't talk about me. It's not like Scotty don't talk about Alabama. It's not like that. Scotty is unapologetic and unscripted. That's why it's called off script. And so I literally argue with people because I don't run from controversy. I'm going to deal with it. You deal with it. So what originally drew you to explore the topics others tend to avoid?
That's a great question, Dr. Bryant. You know what? Like, I've always been the person in my life, like, that always challenged authority. Like, even when I was in the military, I was the dude that would be like, the sergeant be like, we cutting the grass with scissors. I'd be like, why? We got a lawnmower right over there. Like, why does it? Because I said so. I'm like, but if the purpose of it to get the job done, wouldn't you want to use a lawn like that? That's always been my mindset. It has been a gift and a curse in a lot of situations because, a lot of people just follow the herd and follow what is supposed to happen. But me, I've always been that question asker, that challenger of authority. And I just want people to think for themselves sometimes or outside the box and like, hey, like, look at everything. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't mean I'm right, but just I like to challenge and like, let's think about this.
Right. But don't you think that creates a different type of eye on you?
Yeah, because you're always the person that people think that they don't. I'm not the get along type of person, right? Like the go along to get along, like that's just not me. So in certain situations, and it gets hard when you have like friends in the space, right? Because it's like they think that you owe them something, and it's like I don't really. In my friendship, I owe you letting you know, like, hey, Dr. Bryant, like, you know what happened. I gotta talk about it. And then most of the people who understand, they be like, Scotty, I get it. You got a job to do, right? So, but it's the people that don't know me that think I'm always just attacking, and I'm like, it's not the case. It's like people have issues, people have concerns, and I just try to give that to the masses because I feel like we have to conduct ourselves in a way that we can hold ourselves with a standard. And I think that's the part that I think sometimes in the space is misconstrued.
Right. But do you feel your platform holds you to a higher standard or gives you more freedom?
I think it's both. I think the freedom is I get to say what I want, but the standard is if I'm wrong, can I be a man and stand in front of the same people that I said such and such was wrong? I got to come back and say I was wrong. Like that's the part where I love it, but I hate it at the same time because I love accountability. That's my life, right?
Right.
But to me, what my platform does is it makes me have to look in the mirror every single day and be like, am I doing this the right way? Because if I'm not, then I got to come back and apologize to the people that are watching me and the people I'm talking about to hold me accountable. And it sometimes is rough, but at the same time, I love it because I'm like, I love accountability.
Right. Well, one of the things that you've done, well, someone says this, Scotty may talk about AAMU, but he can't help but respect it.
Y'all got some money down there, boy. Y'all be got money.
But I know, I don't want to talk so much about AAMU because this is about the space that we're in. But what is the most misunderstood part of your viewpoint, and why do you think that is?
That I think the white man's ice is colder. Like people always think like I just love white stuff. And it's like that's not the case. It's for me, it's I love my people. But at the same time, I understand our people have a shortcoming of that if it's not coming from a white person, it's hard to accept. Like if it's another black person telling them, no, this is not the right way to do something, it's like, oh, what do you know? But then when the white man come down and says, it's not the right way to, oh, I always knew that when the like, bro, I've been telling y'all Bama's for like 2 years, right? So it's not about the white ice. I just feel like we as people, we as black people, we are too influential, we're too creative, and we're too resilient to not live our lives in having a standard of a procedure of how we move. And that's the part to me, I'm like, man, this stuff is hard for these schools, but yet people are being shady and underhanded, and I hate seeing that. And then them doing it to students on top of that, I really hate it. So I try to be the voice of the voiceless and really put them in front of, and people let them see what they're dealing with.
You know what? And I want to go back to your accountability. You and I can only speak for myself. You and I, there has been some things, and I'm like, Scotty, no, that ain't accurate. You're right. But then to your point, 80 Bryant, yo, this is what I got. Scotty, you right. And then you say, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm like, okay, I can't be mad at your opinion. That's you.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people get caught up in, whether I dislike that off-script t-shirt in your background. So what? That's my opinion. I'm not defined by others' opinion. And I can say that about you. You just spit the facts. You go, hey, it is what it is. It's not what it's not. So I respect that a lot, man. I respect. But before we go on, where are you at right now?
Ohio.
Where? Say that again.
Ohio.
Can you say
I'm not doing it with the I'm not doing none of that.
Hey, you might as well. Hey, look, you're there. OHIO.
I'm not doing none of that. Now, if my wife was here, she'd be like, I'm not. No, I'm good. I'm good on all that.
Scotty, man. See, that's the hating part, right? All right. What's the biggest misconception people have about you personally?
Oh, that's a great that I'm always loud. Like I'm really like my wife. If my wife was on here, she'd be like, he's actually really chill. Like I'm a really chill individual. Like I'm really low key. I stay in the crib. I've always been a homebody. I throw the ball with my daughter, throw the ball with my son. Like I'm a really, really chill individual. And the reason I like Ohio is because like in Atlanta, it's just so busy, and Ohio is just real chill, laid back. Like we're in the suburbs and kicking it, right? So I'm actually a really, really chill individual. So people think like I'm loud and now I can be, but like 9 times out of 10, I'm really chill. I really am really chill.
But Scotty, that everyone is just like being in the movies. I'm gonna say it. You may not like it. People may make fun of me. I'm a big Young and the Restless fan. So I love Victor Newman, right? I love Victor Newman. But when you go out and you see Eric Braeden out on the streets, most people think he's Victor Newman, and he talks about it in his book. That's not who he is. Yeah. That's his character. So I look at that. Scotty is you're on the tube, and you got to be who you got to sell the people.
Yeah, I think my wife says it really well when people meet us and talk to us. She was like, what y'all see is Scotty. She said, and that's my husband. She said, he can be like that. She said, but he's just not like that all the time. She said, who I have is Abrion. Like Abrion is at the house. He doing his daddy duties. He's doing his husband duties, and he's chill. But she said, Scotty is Scotty. And, and then sometimes she'd be like, when I'm going crazy at the house, she'd be like, this ain't off script. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, baby, you're right. So, I'm really chill most times though.
All right. What conversation surprised you the most? Either because it changed your viewpoint or it made it worse?
You know what's crazy? I think having the conversations that I have with people in administration
Mhm.
really open my eyes to all the 360 things that you guys have to worry about, like my talks with you and Miss Suggs and Ashley and even Travion, and like there's certain parts of it that you just don't think about, right? Like you're just
Right.
like, I'd never been in that role, so it's like, oh my man, I ain't even, oh man, that's crazy, right? So it's really talking to administrators, SIDs, and teachers and professors that do their stuff, that reach out to me, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't think about that. Oh, I didn't think about that. So it really shocks me when I get like a full encompassing day or a thought of what you all guys have to worry about. I'm like, well, that's a lot. God, dog.
Yeah, especially nowadays with the NILs and all that. So, if you are a AD today, what is the first thing you're doing to secure your athletics department and to make sure that it's vibrant?
Oh, that's a great question. I think for me, it would either be doing something regionally, like to be like a TV deal regionally to make sure that we're shown in our area, or it would be partnerships in the local, like in the local area and things like that. Because I look at NIL as a gift and a curse, right? Because at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's a never ending pit. There's no return on value
Right.
when I'm
Clock
paying
it.
players unless we win a championship. And that
Clock
doesn't even return the value of what I'm putting out or having to pay. So that would have to be like a last option for me to really focus on NIL. I need recurring revenue that is not a money pit. And NIL in the HBCU space and in most of college athletics, it's a money pit
Yep.
because the player that I'm paying for, how am I really know what value I'm going to get back from him for my program unless we're winning, right?
Right.
Because winning brings in fans, winning brings in promotions and marketing. But if we're not winning, then it ends up being just a hole, just a
Right.
hole in my pocket.
So, do you think we should pay before or during their stay? Are
I
we?
think if it was me, and
Mhm.
this is, I think this is the hard part, because when you're going against other programs in your division, you're like, they're willing to pay me, and I would pay. It's hard to say I would pay for longevity because there's no such thing as that anymore, right?
Nope.
So I won't even probably have a kid for 2 or 3 years anymore. So you just gotta go get the kids that you think are talented, and find a way to get them to your program. But I would pay for longevity. So if I had a kid that had been in my program 1, 2, 3 years, he's going to get NIL money because of his stay with us. And
Yeah.
I believe in that, but you still gotta go get those competitive guys to come in and make your program competitive. So I definitely understand having to pay guys who've never done anything for your program, but you got to reward the people that are staying in your program and giving you those multiple years.
I agree. I agree. Now, Scotty, we're down to our last minute, but I want to know, you did a podcast called yourself Chef Boyardee. Remember that? So remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I always say I'm Chef Bro Yardie, but tell me, what are you bringing to the cookout?
Hot dogs and burgers. That's all I got for you. I ain't listen. I'm gonna be honest
Come
with you.
on,
I
man.
am not a griller. Listen, my wife has gotten me on the grill, but I'm not like ribs and brisket and all that. Listen, I'm a city boy. Okay, like I will pay somebody in a heartbeat. Like my wife's her dad, masterful. Hey man, I'll buy the meat. You just cook it, bro. Like we can make this thing work. So if I'm going to the cookout, it's Sprite. I'm bringing Sprite, and I'm bringing burgers and hot dogs. That's all you gonna get from me. That's all you get from me. I ain't
Clock that, everybody. So today, well, you heard the clock, but we had today Scotty from All Script. Now, Scotty, I need you to tell everybody how to follow you on social medias and everything else.
Man, you guys can catch me on YouTube channel Off Script. You also can catch me on Instagram and Twitter on Off Script TV, __ TV, and you'll see my logo, my graphic image. And listen, man, I'm around. As I say, I'm around. I get around.
Yeah. Now, Scotty, One last thing. You see it at the bottom. It says ADP invite Scotty Tay 150th anniversary homecoming this fall. Now, on your show. Now, this is my show now. So I invited you on your show.
You did.
To come to Alabama A&M. Now, Scotty, here it is. I'm inviting you again. I have a every home football game, I have a linear TV show. A linear TV that's on linear TV.
That's tough.
It's called On the Hill Live with AD Bryant. So, Scotty, the invitation by J. Rob's video, he doesn't put it out there. I put it out there. Scotty, can I get you on the hill?
Who y'all playing?
Well, Scotty, does that matter?
I come for the listen. Okay, hold on now. I come for the football game. I'm a football fan first.
Okay, I got one for you then.
Okay,
come to Lewis Cruz Classic, Alcorn State.
I hate. Is that at Peoples?
No, that's at home.
Oh, okay.
Lewis Cruz.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
No. That's my first home game.
Lewis Cruz. Okay, I'm listen. Now I'm gonna be honest. Now I don't mind coming to homecoming because I know there's gonna be a lot of people. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not me. It's the wife. Like she listen. The last time we went to A&M, it was a very, very bad experience. I'm trying to tell you, right? Bama's ain't want to share. Like even at Jackson, and I'm like public enemy number one. They still feed us. They still take care of me. I still got to keep my head on the swivel. I might get shot, but you know what I'm saying? It's good. Southern, I'm good. Alcorn, I'm good. Come to A&M, everybody want to act like they ain't got no handouts. I be like, bro, like what we doing? So I'm just telling you that. So I'm gonna bring it up to the wife. I'm gonna bring up Lewis Cruz on the homecoming, and if she gives it an A-OK, we'll drive on down. It ain't nothing. We'll drive on down.
Okay, Lewis Cruz, you'll be my guest on my show. Matter of fact, you co-host. How about that?
Oh, I can. What day is that on? We can set that up. Let's get it.
We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about it. So everybody, please thank Off Script for being on. But Scotty, listen, I have a tagline, I have a post line, and I say, remember, it's just a game. So be humble, stay humble, but more importantly, be your best. God bless. See y'all in a couple. Peace.